What is up, guys? Today I just want to do a quick little video about the RB. I just want to go over what we've got done so far and what's left, because we're about a little bit more than halfway. So to start, I'm sure the most interesting piece that you can see from here is the turb ski. We have a precision turbo. It is a 5976E, so it's a 59mm turbo. For this motor, that's not a huge turbo. It's only a .63 housing, so it's a little tiny housing. It's a T3 housing. It is a 4-bolt exit, but I'm going to get the 4-bolt to V-band adapter, and then the exhaust will be V-band from there. So we've got our 3-inch inlet here, and we've got our outlet is, I believe, 2 inches, and we're going to be running 3-inch intercooler piping, so we'll have to get we're going to get an elbow for sure to clear the shock tower that's going to be right here, and then we'll have to go from there, extend it to 3 inches. So this is a oil cooled turbo, so oil lubricated, oil cooled, same thing. There's no water lines, they're normally on the sides. Garrett turbos usually have those. Also, this is a journal bearing turbo, not a ball bearing. Ball bearings are super fucking nice, but they're also super fucking expensive. We've got our turbo sitting on a CX Racing thick-walled stainless steel manifold. So for how cheap this manifold is, you can't really find anything better as far as for an RB. The really nice like twin scroll manifolds are like close to $1,000. Some are more than $1,000. This was, I think, like $450 shipped. So yeah, straight out of the box, this manifold looked pretty good. The welds look great. I really like them. They're way better than my welds. That's me there. I'm not a welder, but you know, I have a welder. Okay, so now the other thing on the manifold is our wastegate. We've got a tile 38mm wastegate, and it's the V-band one. And then we're gonna go for exhaust. We're gonna run the exhaust there, and then it's gonna go up out the hood. The dump pipe or screamer tube, whatever you want to call it, is gonna follow it. So they'll both be sticking out of the hood. So that'd be sweet. Can't wait for that. Up here we have some LS2 coil packs hidden in here. You can't even tell that they're there, which is awesome. I'm very happy that it came out the way it did. The valve cover is bed lined. Sprayed some bed liner on it. You know, I thought it looked pretty good, and it can handle the heat, so that's good. Down here we've got a stock fuel roll with 750cc injectors. I ordered them for 50 Motorsports, but I guess they're Bosch injectors. They've got the Bosch injector plug, the EV1 plug, that I had to order those pigtails and then wire it up. But they're in the stock fuel rail because I'm not going aftermarket fuel rail. There's not a whole lot of options for aftermarket, and from the research I've done from other people's experience, it's really hard to outflow the stock fuel rail. Especially, I'm only going for like max 380 horsepower. I'm not running E85. I'm gonna just be on pump gas, so we'll be fine. Now over here we've got our front-facing intake. It's just an eBay one, because the one-piece ones, they're super expensive, like $700, and 2, they have the shorter runners, the intake runners. These guys, they're shorter. Which gets rid of some of that low end torque, and this being a 2-liter, I'd like to keep that low end power. So that's why I stayed with the stock lower and then just did the front facing top intake, because I know that the stock one, the way it goes, it comes this way and it like goes there and then it disperses into all 6 cylinders, and I guess that it distributes air to each cylinder more evenly than this would. However, you run into heat soak because it's running over the motor by the turbo, so that air isn't as cold when it gets into there, so it's not as dense, so you don't make as much power. That's why I'm going with the front-facing top intake, and I'm running the stock throttle body. We're gonna have the piping come down, go into the intercooler, and then up to the turbo. Here, I just repainted this. so it looks much better. I also painted the throttle body and the air idle control valve. I deleted the cold start valve, AAC valve, something like that, because it's not necessary, you don't need it. It looks ugly as hell. All the wiring is essentially done. I did it myself, put it on this nice loom, and I labeled everything. You see we got throttle positioning sensor here, this one's also throttle positioning sensor. Got each injector labeled, I've got the LS coil packs all wired up, ready to go. Hopefully, that's the plan anyways, that once that the wiring is correct. It doesn't look too pretty coming out here, but you know, I did each one in a different color. And then here we've got, this is just a ground for the coil packs, and then this is going to the negative terminal on the battery, which is essentially a ground too. But I think I'll just have this go to somewhere on the chassis. Okay, and here, this is the coolant line, and I'm just going to cap this off along with the one up here. I'll just cap them off because I have no purpose for them. Everything down here doesn't look too good, but you're never going to see that. All you're going to see is up here, and it looks pretty damn good, so I'm happy about that. Here we've got the oil filter. I'm going to do the oil filter relocation, so I'll get that out of the way so oil changes are super easy. Here's how we're going to mount it in the car. I picked up an R32 crossmember, so that pushes the engine forward enough to clear everything. Since it's going in S13, I had to go R32 crossmember. It bolts in, perfect, good to go. If you have an S14, you have to get an R33 crossmember, and then it'll bolt in, good to go. And allegedly the transmission will mount up to the stock mounting point as well. RB20s have the same transmission as a KA, and I think an SR as well. It's just the bell housing is different. So if this transmission ends up being bad, then just get a KA transmission, throw the RB bell housing on, and then you'll be good to go. There we have the stock ECU. That's not going to be used. I've got two spare belts because one was the power steering, the other was the AC. They're the same size as the alternator belt over here. So I'll have two replacements, which is pretty sweet. When I picked up the motor, they gave me this MAF there. That guy. This guy is a Z33 MAF, and I don't know how to make it work with this motor. Plus it's cracked there too. It came like that with that piece missing. So I don't know if I can even use this. So I think I'm just going to go with the Z32 MAF. There we got the stock mounts the motor came with. Here's the mounts that came with the crossmember. I believe that they are Nismo mounts, but I don't know if I'm going to use them or not. I think I'm going to look for some solid motor mounts. There we've just got the dust shield for the transmission. You cannot forget that. So that's pretty much what we got going on with the RB. I'm real excited to get her in. It's been a journey, but we're almost there. If I forgot anything, if you had noticed anything, then definitely let me know down below. Now we're just going to talk about the rest of the parts that we got to get. And it's kind of scary sometimes reading what's left, you know, because it's like, oh, more money. But you know, more money, put more money into it, have more fun. Hopefully it lasts long enough to justify putting the amount of money that I have put into it. You could do the math with how much I've put into it. I don't want to. Okay, so some of the things that we need. So I actually ordered oil lines for the RB for the turbo, and they showed up, and they're not long enough. So that's awesome. I ordered them from CX Racing. CX Racing has two manifolds for the RB. One, the turbo sits like in the middle of the motor. The other is the manifold I have. The turbo sits in the front. I'm assuming it's for the one where the turbo sits in the middle, because they have that whole kit for RB20 coming with that manifold, and they have their own turbo and intercooler and all that cool stuff. So I think that's what it's for, and they're just not long enough. So I have to return those, and I'm gonna have to piece together a kit for myself, which is gonna be great. So once we get that sorted out, then I have to get the vacuum lines. I'm just gonna get a vacuum line kit. I think it's like 55 feet of vacuum line, and then I just cut it to length for whatever I need. There's not a whole lot of things that need vacuum really on this motor, so it shouldn't be too hard, it shouldn't be too difficult. And I also need to get an intercooler, because you know, turbo car need an intercooler. So I'm gonna do something that I may not need to do, but it's a really good idea that I do it. is tuck my radiator, and I think I'm just going to get a smaller radiator because the one I have is too tall. So I think we get a smaller one. Shout out to Calvin's Garage. He's got a video on it, and it's great. So I'm going to be going that route, and it'll be so much better. I'll be able to put nice fans and keep this monster cold. So another thing we need is we need a boost controller. The springs I got in the wastegate right now are just over 10 pounds, so if I ran solely on wastegate, it would open up at 10 pounds, which I don't want to do because I don't think that's going to make the power that I want to make. So I'm going to get a boost controller so I can run more boost and not have to put such big springs. So yeah, I'm hoping to be around 15 pounds of boost. I think that would make the power that I want to make, but when I get it tuned, I'm going to go off what the tuner suggests because they would know more about it than I would. So another thing that's essential is a blow-off valve. Well, it's not really essential, you don't have to have a blow-off valve, but I'm going to run a blow-off valve. I'm going to get an HKS blow-off valve, the one that's got the get the nice chirp noise. I was going to go with tile, but with that it's more of a whoosh, like a whoosh, and I don't think that's as cool as so that's what I'm going to go with. And after that I'm going to have to get a catch can because we've got the ports already on top of the motor, which is nice. So we'll run the catch can to there. And we're also going to have an oil cooler because with this motor it was never designed to go into an S13. So cooling is an issue with these motors, with any straight six, the RBs, 2Js, if you go LS, cooling's an issue as well. But LSs don't take up as much room lengthwise. They're wide, but they don't take as much room lengthwise. So you can still fit your stock full-size radiator and be good. But with an RB or a 2J, it's sort of an issue with room because the engine bay is only so long because it wasn't designed for a 6-cylinder. A 240 was designed for a 4-cylinder. That's why most people go with SRs. And there's times where I'm like, maybe I should have gotten an SR. It would be in right now. My car would be running. But SRs don't sound nearly as good as an RB, so I'll wait a little longer. And then, like I said earlier, I'm gonna get the oil filter relocation kit so I can have it. I think it puts it. I'll put it near the shock tower. You know, somewhere easy access, so oil changes are super quick. Not a big deal, so I don't really have to be under the car except to, do that one bolt on the oil pan. Once we pull the KA out, we're going to paint the bay. Still deciding on what color I want to paint it. I don't know yet, because I just don't know yet. I don't know what will look good with everything, and I don't really want to go like a plain color, but I don't really want to go super crazy, because I'd like the motor to match the bay, sort of, or at least it to look good. I don't know yet. That's the color still on the table. I just have to get most of those things, and then we can drop the motor in the car, and then have it in the car and work around it and do all that fun stuff. But to get it running is another story. I have to get ECU. I'm gonna go standalone ECU just to avoid hiccups with tuning, to make it easier and to give me more options. I'll have anti-lag, rolling anti-lag, launch control, all that fun stuff. I'll probably never use most of those stuff anyways, but hey, why not? The other thing is I'm gonna have to relocate the battery just to free up more space. I may relocate the fuse box as well, but I don't know yet, honestly. I guess when we get there, we'll get there, but definitely relocate the battery. That's for sure gonna happen. I have to get a new battery anyways because my battery's dead because my 240's been sitting since February. So, and it's July now. So another thing I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna get any gauges. And you might think, why? Why would you not get gauges? You have to monitor your fuel ratio, your fuel pressure, your oil pressure, oil temperature, coolant temperature, maybe even your air intake temperature, something you want to do. I'm gonna get a digital dash. I'm just gonna go full on, send it, get a digital dash. I'm gonna get the AEM CD7 and just call it good. So if you decide, oh, I don't want to spend $1,300 on a digital dash, I'm just gonna go with the gauges, and then you start getting gauges, slowly over time, one at a time or two at a time or whatever, and they're like $300 a piece or $200 a piece or $100. That adds up pretty quick, and you may as well have gotten the digital dash, unless you want to go with like a stock-ish look, or you want the gauge pod, that's got like on the A-pillar you got the 3 gauges. If you want to go that route, I mean, you can go for it, but you're paying just about the same amount as a digital dash, so I'm just gonna go on and get digital dash because I've had problems with 240 clusters crapping out on me and not working anymore. So I'll just bypass that and get a digital dash. I'll get an AEM one because I'm gonna get an AEM ECU too. Before I drop the motor in, I gotta do the little preventive maintenance stuff, change the spark plugs. Right now there's no oil in the motor, there's no coolant in the motor, all that stuff, so I'll change the spark plugs and give it some oil before we put the motor in and start it. I think I'm gonna get a 6-puck clutch and just one that can hold like 400 foot-pounds of torque at the crank, because I don't think this motor is gonna make 400 foot-pounds of torque at the crank. I think it'll be under 300 in torque, maybe close to 300, but most likely under 300, and then horsepower between 320 and 350. I'll be happy. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, stock internals, RB. So yeah, I opened it up, don't worry, and everything looks good. There's no marks or anything, nothing that shouldn't be there isn't there, and it looks honestly like it came out of the factory yesterday. The only issue is, you know, it's been sitting, so I guess we'll have to take it slow for a little bit. So I'm also going to go with a steel braided line for the clutch. That doesn't really have anything to do with the swap, I don't have to do that. However, I want to do that. I've heard good things about doing that. The clutch feels better, so like, oh, why not do it? So one thing I forgot to mention, this guy, I've got a fuel pressure regulator for this motor. Totally forgot that I had it when I was walking around the motor. But yeah, so here's my fuel pressure regulator. It's a ISR Performance one, and it looks good. So that's pretty much it, really. I can't think of anything else that I need for this swap. If you guys think of something, definitely comment down below. Let me know if I forgot anything that I need, because it could be something that I'm totally missing that's super obvious that that I need, that like it won't work without. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas, stuff that I need, definitely comment down below. Also comment down below any like recommendations if you've worked on RBs before, been around RBs, you know anything about RBs really. I'm new to this whole thing. This is my first RB and also my first motor swap, so that's gonna be fun. But yeah, so I'm excited to get that in. Definitely, if you guys are excited about this build, definitely hit that subscribe button. I'm recording every step of the way. Every time a part comes in, we put them on. I've got a bash bar coming in. I don't know when it's coming in. I ordered it and they're making it, and they're gonna email me when it ships. And as of July 1st, it hasn't shipped. So we'll see when that comes in. But in case you don't know anything about the build or anything, my 240, I take it off-road, I don't drift it. I just take it off-road, have some fun with it. So I'm going to delete the front bumper and have the bash bar, and then we'll build a skid plate from there. And yeah, and then I have to work around how I'm going to mount the intercooler and everything with a skid plate there. I think I'm going to cut out on the skid plate like S13 or 240SX or even like Nismo, something cool. Cut it out, so, and then put some mesh there, and then so I can mount the intercooler lower and get more airflow through it. So yeah, if you guys are excited for that, definitely check out some of my other videos. I'll link up the video where my 240 broke. The second time it broke, I jumped it and it broke. That's what happened. So go watch that. Go watch it jump. It's pretty cool. I bet you've never seen a 240 jump. So yeah, once again, comment down below anything you want to add to the build. I'm definitely open to suggestions. And you know, hit that like button too. Let me know that you like this video and like this type of content. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.